You know, if you are eligible now for Medicare, this is the time of the year that you need to start looking at your options. So what do? Well, we call in the Gary Smith agency guy, Gary Smith himself. How are you? Good to see you.
Again, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And, you know, we have you in here, you know, all the time, and especially this time of the year to talk about, you know, what's going on, because this is the time up until, what, December?
Correct, December 7th.
December 7th to enroll in Medicare. So talk about that. Talk about Medicare enrollment.
Right. Yeah. This time of year is what we refer to as, you know, the end of the year Medicare enrollment period, and it is the time frame for everyone who's on Medicare over 65 and under to reevaluate their drug plan, but also get on a Medicare Advantage plan if that's what they want to do. We have a lot of people out here who have supplements, right, and their prices kind of going through the roof, and they think that the end of the year is the only time frame they can change. Well, another option they have for them is switching over to the Advantage plans, and with the Joe Namath commercial, and now you've got the JJ commercial, the Advantage plans have gotten a lot more popular. So one of the good things about those commercials is that they have brought awareness to the Advantage plans, and so it's helped everyone on the Gulf Coast understand it's not a bad option. You just, as I tell everybody, you have to understand what you're purchasing, right? If you go to the car dealership to get a truck and you leave with a car, are you going to be happy? You really didn't really understand the difference, but you leave with something you didn't really want.
Right.
So we tell everybody when you're looking at these plans, just the key there is to make sure that they understand what they are enrolling in and i.e. purchasing.
Are there a lot of different plans to choose from?
There are. So here on the Gulf Coast, we're kind of excited this year because we have 5 options. Now, 3 years ago, we only had 2 options. So this year, you actually have 5 options available to everyone on the Gulf Coast. So that's going to make, you know, a lot harder for you as a consumer to, how do you know which plan you're going to pick? There's 5 different players out there now. We now have Humana, AARP, which is United Healthcare. We have Cigna, Aetna, and WellCare. So each one has sort of their own niche. And so I kind of like to refer to everybody, when you're looking at these plans, you know, how do you know how to pick? Right. How do you know which plan works for you?
Well, let me ask you this. Right now, my insurance here through the company is through Cigna. So whenever I do decide, you know, to retire, get on Medicare, would it be in my best interest to stick with Cigna with that plan?
Well, it could be. You bring that up. You bring up a perfect example. A lot of people we run into back in, say, in February, March of next year, we'll get a lot of people in my office who have purchased a plan, but the doctor's not covered. The drugs are not covered. We actually had a lady call 2 weeks ago. She had called the Joe Namath folks, got signed up on a plan, got her paperwork in. They had given her a doctor in Tennessee.
Huh?
Tennessee. So when she called up, said, and she's thinking, surely they just made a simple mistake. And they probably did, right? Just a simple loading error, I'm sure. Could have been a data entry error. So she calls back up. Can she speak to the person that she spoke to that enrolled her? Absolutely not. The person she did speak to couldn't really help her, so she calls back, and can you speak to the second person? So you can never speak to the same person twice. A friend of hers said, go see Gary. Go to his office. So she comes in, she knocks on the door. We get her. We have to keep the doors locked because of COVID, but we are open. Okay, we welcome walk-ins. So we let her in. We talk to her, see what's going on, hear her story, and I'm like, this is such a common story as to why people should be aware of where they purchase from, because are you going to get the service that you need? She said no. So we ended up helping her, put her on a different plan that actually covered her drugs and covered her doctor, because they're not going to take the time to look it up. They don't care. Where are they from, right?
Right.
It's an 800 number, probably in Nebraska. And again, she could never speak to that person that she spoke to originally. So I tell people.
That's why it's good to come and see you, because you are there. You are in Pascagoula and you know, it is
That
it's
is
a building.
exactly right. Yeah. So, you know, go back to all the time, what separates my office or my operation from my competitors? Well, one of the things is we're a real business. We are a true brick and mortar business, and there's a lot of fake ones that are out there today. What's the difference? Well, we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can come knock on the door. We are there. Those other businesses are appointment only. Guess what? Because there's nobody there. When you call, we answer the phone. You can speak to the same person twice, 3 times, 4 times, over and over and over. It's just a total, and we're from Mississippi, right? We are here. So it's just a total, I mean, it's comparing apples and oranges, as I tell people. We're going to take the time to look up your doctors, look your drugs up, because you may walk in the door saying, hey, I want company X. And if you call company X, guess what? You're getting it. They're not even going to ask you who your doctors and your drugs are. Oh, you want that plan? Yes, ma'am. That was, give me your name, give me your social. They're going to sign you up. We're going to say, well, wait a minute. How do you know company X is going to cover your drugs, cover your doctors? Let's back this thing up a little. Let's look at your situation. Are you traveling? Are you not traveling? Are you sick? Are you not sick? Are you seeing specialists? Are you need to see doctors in Mobile, Ochsner's, MD Anderson? We look at the big picture because we actually care. I mean, that's sort of, I guess, is why we come up with that motto. We put the care in Medicare. We actually care because, again, I'm local. Why? If I do you wrong, what's going to happen?
They're going to be knocking on your door.
Hey, you gave me a doctor in Tennessee. So that to me, it's just really is. It's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to stress to your listening audience: if you don't do business with me, do business with someone local that you can go see and talk to over and over and over, because your Medicare situation is not going to go away. You're 65, 66, 67. Yeah. You're going to live till you're 80 and you're 90.
Well, we got about a minute left, Gary. What do people need to do right now?
Right now, so again, what you need to do right today is make sure your drugs are covered, make sure your doctors and your drugs, if you're on a Medicare Advantage, make sure that's covered going into next year. If you're looking for an Advantage plan, call, make sure your doctors are covered, your hospitals are covered, your drugs are covered. All of the plans are 95% identical. There's a few minor differences. So I tell people the differentiator is your doctors and your drugs. If your supplements are too high, this is your time, because December 7th will be here before we know it, and then you're stuck for another year.
All right. Gary, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very informative as
Absolutely.
always. Again, more reason why you work with someone local is because you can go, like he said, knock on his door and get all your answers questions. Gary Smith Agency here on the Gulf Coast.